Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane, your wonderful host, Lord of Propaganda. And today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Langres. Yes, indeed, I'm aware that some of you have been asking for 2 vs 2, but I have been away for the weekend. I just got back a few hours ago. It's pretty hot here, and I don't have time to go through all of those 2 vs 2 to look for something decent. So I'm going with 1 vs 1. I've already looked over. So you will be seeing that, and tomorrow I'll be getting to work on a 2 vs 2 as some people have been asking. One of the reasons I haven't been doing what some is there's been a rather limited selection of actually decent 2 vs 2s, and for a large part most of them have in fact been supplied by the same person, and I'd rather try to avoid having the exact same person get his games cast constantly. I try to keep at least some sort of mixture going up so we don't get the same thing cast. Of course, can't always help it, but at least I try to. And of course some of them have been pretty tame, just to put it mildly. I mean, sure, some of the people who played it probably found it interesting, but trouble is, some things don't always show so well in a replay. And that's rather what can make things a bit difficult. In particular, again, we have lots of people asking for this and for that, and people then want a third thing as well, and it makes it rather difficult for me to find a good game to show at times, and I feel rather fractured, actually. It can be a bit unpleasant, and then you get a fourth person who wants me to show his game in particular, and he's so friendly and nice, and it feels so bad because for some reason I might not be able to show it, because for example he showed me an Annihilation game, and I don't do Annihilation games. No, I don't do 3 vs 3 or 4 vs 4, no offense, I just don't. And now we are going to have a bit of a match here with Tommygaga, an old favorite one, chap we already know. So that should provide some solid gameplay, and he shall be facing down Mr. Amphetamines. Yes, that's not entirely wholesome, although I do believe some troops during the war at darker times were fit with amphetamines, so they can keep on going despite all the horror and lack of everything else going on around them. Possibly air crews as well. Nonetheless, Amphetamines, 30th Infantry Division, shall be taking on the 352nd Grenadier Division, which I'm still reading about in the book Normandy Front. Very exciting book. I can certainly recommend it if you in general are curious about how the Germans operated in Normandy. Anyhow, this is a fight on Langres, as you might be aware, of course, roads going through it, victory point in a sort of roundabout, and victory points close to the bases, strategic cutoff point rather, guarding a lot to the better resources. High yield munitions, the only one in the entire map, guarded off by a lot of buildings and bocage, making it a bit harder to take, but at the same time this building does have a blind spot, so you can rush it and in fact throw grenades over through this hedge. So keep that in mind. And I do seem to have the hiccups. So let's get straight to it. Let's not dally about. Let us get straight to the action. The fight between the Allies and the Axis, the 3rd and the 352nd. The 30th, I do believe, were a fresh division. There were some divisions that were veterans from the fighting in North Africa and Italy, but not all. Some of them were quite new, and they suffered quite badly against the Germans, as the Germans operated rather differently, in particular since some divisions had been trained and were expecting to head to the Eastern Front, and so were prepared to actually fighting a lot worse, and instead they got the American GIs. So the American GIs, strangely enough, suffered for that. Anyhow, we are seeing engineers moving about to each side, barracks up, Wehrmacht quarters up, MG42 on the way. I do believe this is sort of the usual thing for Mr. Tommygaga, actually. I usually prefer Volksgrenadiers, and no others would do. Others do prefer the MG42, and a very few to prefer the bike or just getting lots of pioneers. Not that I'd recommend that. MG42 hitting the field. All go there, and again, if you're sending in replays, great, but I can't guarantee I will show it. There can be so many factors, and sometimes a game just apparently turns out to be very rubbish to actually show in a replay, because you might have been feeling it's been the toughest fight ever, and then when you check the replay you actually notice the other guy hasn't really been doing an awful lot, and in fact been suffering some horrific losses beyond all reason for apparently no good reason at all, in fact. Oh dear, and we are seeing the MG42 sitting up behind this haystack, all looking nice and dandy there. Riflemen moving towards the west, engineers towards the east, going straight for this fuel point, then doubling back for this munitions point. Engineers moving towards the west. You usually see a bit of a race for this fuel point, in fact. And we are seeing riflemen moving in from the north, getting through behind. They are stopping these pioneers from taking this position. Pioneers getting out of there. And the riflemen are pulling back. MG42 setting up here. And where is this? Perhaps it could be on the crossroads to St.lo. I do believe they were quite important features. In fact, lots of fighting there as the Americans ever onwards push towards the town of St.lo, held by the 352nd, reinforced with regiments from other divisions and bits of this and that, while they were holding back 4 divisions. Quite a feat. Riflemen moving in from north against these Grenadiers. Riflemen pushing through the west as well, although they might stop at the victory point. No, they are in fact ignoring the victory point. Good move there, but they are running straight into the MG42. MG42 blasting away, suppressing the riflemen. Although the riflemen were quick to rather fall at the sound of the MG42. In fact, during the early stages, in fact, due to some munition shortages, the MG42 gunners in fact used training bullets, these wooden bullets, but they nonetheless produced the same effect. The Americans would get suppressed, and usually that would be the case for the MG42 gunners to get out of there, while the Americans were still digging into the dirt and not quite aware that they'd been facing wooden bullets. Yes, indeed, there is a bit of secret knowledge for you on the art of World War II. And no, I'm not going to recommend that the Wehrmacht gunners get a wooden bullet upgrade. That's just silly. Anyhow, we are seeing riflemen moving in from the north. Pioneers taking on a bit of fighting here in the west. Not looking good in taking this point. In fact, the Americans are securing the southern victory point. And Volkskrone is seeing all these riflemen standing out a bit in the open. They will have to take up a cover behind some wooden fences or shrubbery. Engagement in the east, riflemen forcing back the Volksgrenadiers. Third Volksgrenadier team out there. Good solid force of infantry. Always my recommendation is at least 3 teams of infantry, and then you can always take it from there. Getting some MG42s is always good, or some other heavy machine gun or something else. 2 is the absolute bare minimum, but I would prefer 3 if you're the Wehrmacht. If you're the Americans, 3 is the bare minimum, and 4 is not bad, but I usually go for support weapons by then, but that's just me and how I've come to work. Riflemen coming under fire from the Volksgrenadiers moving in. Could probably be representing the Ostbattalion, which served, or perhaps some of the many replacement troops that were thrown in. Everything from Luftwaffe troops to Reichsarbeitsdienst kids, or for that matter, troops from the Organisation Tod, which was another construction force within the Wehrmacht, sort of also paramilitary, civilian engineers. Also did a lot of work, rather a lot of different workforces in fact, in the German entire, well, organizations I suppose. But they rather quickly found themselves conscripted to the Wehrmacht, in particular the 352nd, as it was sort of the primary division that was holding everything together. The 2 fortress divisions at its sides were rather quickly melting away, not doing too well compared to the more stalwart 352nd. And riflemen moving in from the west with BARs blazing, standing out a bit in the open. MG42 retreating though. Volksgrenadiers will probably have to face a full retreat, having been engaged on all sides. And there we go, full retreat, not looking good. Creek barracks on the way though. Pioneers probably ready to set up the creek barracks. And what is this? Another MG42 going to serve as the basis of another platform for firepower, and probably getting to suppress some more Americans and make it harder for the first MG to get suppressed and surrounded. My goodness, quite a lot of words coming out there. And riflemen engaging these Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers taking heavy losses. They are down to very few men, not looking good at all. MG42 setting up in a nice rear position, while Volksgrenadiers moving in, providing ensuring there's a shield, and of course the MG42 providing covering fire, allowing it to slowly advance at the same time once the Volksgrenadiers have secured a solid position. Second MG42 moving in, might be leapfrogging a bit there, or perhaps the MG42 decides to just stand around. And MG42 teams were in fact composed of 4 men, not 3. Usually there would be a sort of commander, the gunner, there would be the loader, and then there would actually be the guy to actually guard the entire setup. That was 4 men, but still 3 is good as well. Riflemen coming under quite a bit of fire from the Grenadiers. And looks like another Grenadier is down, not looking good at all. Looks like, oh dear, that was actually the squad leader. As you can see, the Sturmgewehr lies discarded at his frozen body. Not looking good at all, but we are seeing Pioneers continuing to seize territory, at least denying it to the Americans. Americans up with a supply yard and a triage center. The Wehrmacht will certainly be needing something else very soon to support them, lest they get hit by the armored car and realize they only have Panzerfaust holding back. Americans also beginning to lay down mines here and here. Good job there, really a good thing to try and lay down mines as well, so it becomes that much harder for the Wehrmacht to actually take the territory back. We're also seeing a Kampfkraft sent up there, 21 for infantry, and nothing for the support units as of yet. Of course, getting some veterans for that MG42 would increase accuracy and decrease reload time, so that would not be a bad idea. Riflemen moving towards the east, ready to do a bit of harassment, and in the west, engineers are moving in the flamethrowers. Volksgrenadiers still realize the hazard and get away, ready to fire away, and the engineers get away with those huge fuel tanks on their backs, not wanting to risk them getting blown up and everyone catching on fire. A horrible demise. In the south we are seeing the Krieg barracks coming up. MG42 covering the north. Looks like some riflemen might be advancing right into the line of fire of the MG42. There we go. Getting suppressed while Volksgrenadiers are pushing on in the west, while the MG42 does takes care of the rest. And looks like these engineers are coming under quite a bit of fire. Volksgrenadiers though are not moving in to support the first team. That could be bit unfortunate now as the engineers march again, but they are finishing securing the victory strategic point and opening up on the engineers forced back. MG42 is holding back another team of riflemen while this is holding the northern bit. Third team of Volksgrenadiers is securing the central victory point. Currently the Americans do have the victory point advantage. MG42 suppressing some riflemen out on the east, good job there. But riflemen, and this means we are seeing the infantry doctrine for amphetamines. Clearly the commander is already an addict, filled with the unholy fuel that is, laying down mines everywhere. And we are, oh dear, another mine, in fact, killing a Volksgrenadier and suppressing the rest. That's not looking good. Opening up on these riflemen, though. The riflemen, though, are not quick enough to get into cover, taking heavy losses. But the Volksgrenadiers are taking heavy losses as well. Another advance from the north, riflemen moving in with their deadly BARs. Killing a few Volksgrenadiers, sending the rest into a retreat. Bunker going up, and riflemen moving towards the east as well. And a fourth infantry team as well. But looks like the German forces are able to clear up the west, if ever briefly, and we are seeing Grenadiers hitting the field as well, getting their Panzerschrecks, their beloved Panzerschrecks, or Rakettenbüchse. Of course, that was not the only rocket-propelled anti-tank weapon they had. They, of course, also had the Panzerfaust, and in fact, they also had a anti-tank upgrade for their rifle grenades, so they could also deal with that, although it wasn't quite as powerful. And yes, the Germans did in fact have rifle grenades. Rifle grenades were not a phenomenon exclusive to the British. The Germans, in fact, actually, I do believe, had a rather advanced system for it, or at least a good one. Riflemen moving in, though, on this MG42, getting awfully close to the have grenades. That could really turn out to be a major problem here, since this MG42 is pretty much the linchpin of the eastern defenses. And there it goes, forcing the second MG42 into, no, not a retreat. Oh dear, this could mean these riflemen might move in from the east and really get the drop on these MG42 gunners. Volksgrenadiers moving in. And there we go, the MG42 right in the center of the east is getting enveloped and will have to retreat before all is lost, and the MG42 becomes an American weapon. At the same time, we are seeing Grenadiers engaging these riflemen. Volksgrenadiers trying to lay down some barbed wire, forced back, and a grenade. No! That was apparently a Panzerschreck shot, killing a lot of riflemen, or just the Grenadiers with the rifles. Nonetheless, rifleman team was lost to these highly veteran Grenadiers, slaughtering them all. 6 man down, that's certainly going to be felt. And medics doing their best to pull out the wounded, the walk-in wounded as they were called, since they could actually quickly be put back with a bit of paper and all that, some bandages. Of course, the Wehrmacht supply situation weren't good, so were usually rags and newspapers that were used to put those poor buggers together. Artillery hammering down on the bunker. MG42 taking a sight down on these riflemen, quickly suppressing them. Grenadiers moving in, grenades flying in as well on the suppressed riflemen, but they do get out of there before the grenade goes off. Stahlgranaten doing nothing. Of course, they also had a second grenade called the Eiergranate, or egg grenade, which I do believe was more like the American pineapple grenade, but it couldn't be thrown as far as the steel grenade. And engineers laying down mines. Of course, they were caught out there in the open, and again, troops standing out in the open doing any sort of work like laying down mines, barbed wire, tank traps, bunkers, tents, whatever. They will be easier targeted and take more damage. In fact, let's go shift over to amphetamines and see what drug fuel madness is going on there. Artillery being prepared and floating, and god awful lot amount of manpower and fuel. What is he doing with all of that? Could be the amphetamines is forcing away from any sort of decent focus. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why drugs are bad, among other things. Volksgrenadiers hitting a mine, or was it pioneers? Certainly someone were killed when they hit that mine. Pioneers and Volksgrenadiers apparently. Volksgrenadiers lying in pain. Grenadiers holding the line. And looks like, yes, more mines. In fact, mines everywhere. That's a god awful lot of them. And in fact, weapon support center going down now. And a veteran supply yard upgrade number 1. Good job there. Really going to decrease the manpower upkeep. I'm going to do something with all manpower, although why he hasn't gone for a tank depot is a bit beyond me, as that would really have been an excellent method here. Really punch hole in the German defenses, but no, he is apparently deciding to hold them back and perhaps use the velvet gloves. No, not me. Riflemen advancing here. Grenadiers holding out in the open, which I do believe means that the German commander has 2 grenadier teams and 3 Volksgrenadiers. And looks like these grenadiers are standing out in the open. Grenades thrown at the riflemen. Goes off, kills 2 riflemen, and the grenadiers retreat, leaving behind the wounded. Not the most glorious moment for the Wehrmacht. Bunker getting repaired. Volksgrenadiers securing the eastern victory point, or munitions point, I suppose, not victory point, that is there. Although the Americans are ready to harass in the west. Really good harassment from amphetamines, really everywhere. Mines are everywhere. I mean, really good job there. And now getting grenades and a sniper. He's really putting off the anti-infantry pressure, but really, and then again, I sort of suspect he might soon find that all this anti-infantry is rather making him up vulnerable for something else, as the Sturm Armory is on the way, ready to show those Americans the storm of the Wehrmacht. Could it be Pumas? Could it be Stugs, Geschützwagens, Nebelwerfers? Who knows? But I imagine the Americans will soon find out, and these Volksgrenadiers barely get out there, only 1 man left. Rest cut down. The MG42 holding out from the side of the shrubbery. Riflemen advancing, and oh dear, they're getting awfully close, right in range for a grenade, and these MG42 gunners will have to retreat. Get them out of there, Mr. Tommygaga. And there we go, retreating them. Another one down, and the entire MG42 team is lost. Medics continuing to pull through casualties. Flamethrower getting pinned down and suppressed. Riflemen forcing back Volksgrenadiers in the west. Really heavy blows to the Wehrmacht forces at every point. But the Sturm Armory may turn the tide if used properly. And Volksgrenadiers holding out near the medic bunker against these dastardly riflemen. Grenadiers pushing through in the west, getting cut down again. You do not want to charge against infantry with automatic weapons out in the open, so riflemen with BARs, bad choice even in Grenadiers. And even if you're going to throw grenades, if you really are going to do that, go for example for assault. That at least works in that assault mode. This is not so good on the other hand. Of course, have to see how that goes, and the grenade, of course, misses, flying way too far. Volksgrenadiers, though, managed to do some rather terrible things to the riflemen right here, and looks like a grenadier team might soon be ready. And we are in fact seeing all this manpower and fuel being used for the M2 105mm howitzer. That's certainly going to add quite a bit of firepower to the American arsenal and really make things difficult for the Wehrmacht. Another grenadier team is ready, further Volksgrenadiers marching in, and they are awfully clumped up. In particular, if that howitzer begins singing a dirge, and the sniper knocks out a grenadier. This is absolutely heavy pressure, and the Wehrmacht is absolutely penned in on all sides, trapped like a rat, or cornered like a wild beast. This is not looking good for the Wehrmacht forces. Not looking good at all. And riflemen pushing through on all sides, continuing to level the pressure, and the Wehrmacht forces are all bunked up in these craters, and the artillery flies in, killing medics And a single Volksgrenadier. Another Volksgrenadier team is lost. In fact, an entire team there goes. The rest of the Wehrmacht forces retreats, but more Volksgrenadiers are killed. This is absolutely horrific. And now we are seeing a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 234. Puma schwerer armored Panzer Spähwagen could be on the land from the 2nd Panzer Division, which did work in support of the 352nd Grenadier Division. In fact, it lent some panzers later on. And we are seeing these riflemen coming under quite a bit of fire. But the heavy cover does afford them quite a bit of protection from the heavy armor cars, autocannon fire and MG fire. That is looking good. Grenadiers marching out apparently through a small gap right here in the natural defenses. Yeah, that could in fact also mean that an American commander could sneak his forces through there, although it looks like Tommygaga has gone defensive as notified through that. So that could of course also be an advantage. And Grenadiers once more charging in. Why on earth is he doing that? Grenades now being thrown, but the Grenadiers dodge that. And the riflemen are forced into a full rout in the face of all these Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers, although this again is an awfully tempting target for the howitzer. And it looks like the Americans are gathering forces for the next major assault. And the howitzer opens up on the Wehrmacht forces. Where shall its shells land? And again, why is he keeping his Grenadiers that close to the bunker? Yes, he can reinforce, but at the same time, a bunker like this is a high priority target, and you don't want your troops to be near a high priority target if your opponent has on-map artillery. That's basically asking for him to kill the infantry as well. Oh well, I do happen to have a medic bunker, but I also have some infantry nearby it. Would you like to kill it? Oh, thanks. So don't do that. It's just a waste of infantry, and it won't do them much good. Riflemen getting cut down out in the open, Grenadiers and Puma holding them away. And the tank depot is up, and the tank destroyer is on the way. Not going for a Sherman. That's rather interesting. I would have preferred to have seen that. I could have dealt with the infantry and the Puma, but apparently just going straight for the M10 to deal with this Puma. Riflemen getting continued cut apart by this heavy armored car. Grenadiers going for this cutoff point. In fact, things have turned around rather swiftly due to this rather solid German assault. Grenades flying into the American positions, killing 2 riflemen, and the rest are getting torn apart by the armored car. A BAR is dropped, and these riflemen will have to get out there. In fact, they are leaving behind that BAR. Could be picked up by the German forces if they are swift enough. And apparently the sniper has lost all direction. Not entirely sure where it is. Could try and ask the locals for direction, but then again, he might find himself asking the Germans about that. And this Puma is forced into a swift retreat, but this is from the Sturmarmerie. Stug 4, the Panzerjägerabteilung providing some of its Stug. Yes, indeed. The Stug wasn't really a sort of tank destroyer, although some might claim it so. It was an assault gun, but of course it could be used as a tank destroyer due to its low profile and nice gun. But it was more likely to be used as a sort of improvised tank, and was actually pretty decent at the job, even despite its lack of a turret. And it was quite a threat to Allied armor with its nice gun and slope-thick frontal armor. We'll be able to do quite a nice bit against that tank destroyer if it of course can catch it. And apparently it managed to crush 2 riflemen, but that is about it. Tank destroyer holding at range, not moving in. Grenadiers though and Stug moving in. Could be this M10 finds itself in a bit of trouble, but no. Instead, the German infantry is forced into a hasty retreat. Medic bunker receiving repairs, and this Puma could certainly also do with some repairs. And in fact, let's return to Tommygaga and see the situation. Veterancy on the way for his infantry and for his armor always. If you're the Wehrmacht, getting armor veterancy is pretty much a must. Veterancy 1 decreases damage taken. I do believe that also applies to all vehicle veterancy upgrades, more or less, so getting that for the Puma as well would not be entirely a bad idea. Americans though holding on, pushing onwards nonetheless. Howitzers are ready to blast away in support. Looks like the Puma is moving in to stop some engineers from seizing territory, and at the same time we are seeing the sniper on the prowl, apparently having gotten his bearings and asked a local Frenchman for where the Germans is. He is now on the move once more. And looks like the M10 in support with the riflemen are pushing towards these. Another Grenadier team is ready. Meaning so far 4 Grenadier teams and 2 first Grenadier teams, an awful lot of infantry. Although a single shot with the howitzer could easily spell the doom from several infantry teams. The howitzer being one of the few weapons able to actually completely annihilate entire infantry teams with one shot. So be very careful with that howitzer, or you might suddenly find yourself short of a lot of infantry. In fact, looks like some losses are being incurred here. M10 moving in, and a lot of Panzerschrecks and Stug fire flying against it. In fact, all these Panzer Grenadiers seem to be equipped with Panzerschrecks. Rifleman team is cut apart. M10 is not pulling towards friendly lines. Stug gets sight of the enemy, and will it fire and knock it out? No, it will not knock it out. It does hit and does a bit of damage, but that is it. Sniper continuing to fire away these Grenadiers with Infantry 2 now. Sniper forced to retreat, having gained Infantry 1 though, and Engineers moving in against these Pulse Grenadiers. And no Infantry further for the armor, and MG4 that Stug could be quite a bit of help. And Grenades doing quite extraordinary losses to these Grenadiers, killing 4, leaving behind only 3, forcing the entire German force into retreat right there. And I do believe it is time for the mid-game analysis. So, the situation has been going rather back and forth for quite some time. First the Americans get quite an advantage, then the Germans push them back, and then the Americans gained the advantage once more, pushed them back, and so the Germans retreated afterwards. But currently looks like that with the Stug and the Puma, that the German commander does have the advantage, despite the howitzer of the American forces and that tank destroyer, since the tank destroyer is not really able to get a proper shot off of that Stug 4, in particular since it seems keen on engaging it from the front rather than the rear. Rangers though arriving on the field though might be able to push things through a bit, but really I think he needs a Sherman, and I think he needs to coordinate his artillery fire a bit with his more direct pushes. Then again, getting that medic bunker out might also be of help. In fact, why he hasn't gotten a medic station himself is a bit beyond me. But it really needs to land some devastating losses on the German commander. Or he might find himself climbing a very, very steep hill, and for that he's really going to need some armor and perhaps getting some support weapons instead of just relying on riflemen and a sniper. I feel that in the long run will not avail him much. Of course, the heavy losses to the Grenadiers incurred with that grenade is certainly going to help. Anyhow, so let us return to the fight. The German commander, of course, needs to hold on with most of he has, and of course keep up the pressure. He must not allow the American forces sitting quiet and gain on the assault force. And oh dear, sticky bomb on the Stug 4. But the veterans he does protect it, albeit the engine does go up in flames. Artillery fire flying at the bunker. We are seeing for the fatherland and registered artillery ready. Stug 4 is lost, knocked out by the Rangers and their nasty bazookas, and this MG42 team standing out in the open, getting torn apart. This could be an absolute coup for the American forces. There we go. In fact, they could instantly secure this MG42 and really give themselves an advantage if these Rangers were to pick it up. Would also mean this. But no, he is ignoring it. Oh dear. He really could have gained an advantage there by securing that MG42, but no, he ignores it. Oh, the tragedy. And looks like the Rangers are pushing on. No submachine guns though, and apparently no grenades flying either. Puma moving in, taking a bit of fire from these Rangers though. And oh dear, you don't want to get up close to Rangers with bazookas. That's just asking to get bazookaed. To have a bazooka right up the tailpipe, and grenades flying in these Grenadiers. And a bazooka shot apparently kills one of these Grenadiers, gaining veterans 1 for the Rangers, making them more accurate. And another barrage flying at the bunker. And the Puma, a second Puma in fact, moving in, taking quite a bit of fire as well. Stug though is lost. Veterans you want away for vehicles, good job there. And a repair bunker soon up. Excellent job there, excellent job. And another tank destroyer out for the American commander. Still no actual armor, which really could be an advantage. That might just be me. Engineers and Volksgrenadiers pushing in the west. No more mines for the American commander either, really. Really looks like he was not too prepared for the German counterattack, and really seems to be in an awful lot of trouble. He still has yet to secure this strategic point and gain access to these two territories once more. That's an absolutely horrific thing, and looks like these Volksgrenadiers are forced back, but there we go, securing the strategic point. Oh no, he's ignoring it again. Oh dear.
Americans are seizing territory from us.
And German forces moving in, nothing to really oppose them. Registered artillery going down somewhere. Right here, apparently mortar rounds flying about from everywhere, not doing much damage. Although if something is caught within there, it's pretty much going to be blown to bits. No infantry can survive that barrage, if of course they are caught in it, rather than just retreating as soon as it's made aware, and in which case it's not going to do an awful lot. Of course, again, if you can catch a blob in it, you're going to have a very nice day. Let's just keep it at that. Not much else out for the 352nd. Pumas apparently doing most of the job. Grenadiers holding back that M10, while the Pumas do terrible things to the American infantry. Panzerschreck blowing a rifleman to bits. Volksgrenadiers charging in. Pumas taking quite a bit of fire, and the tank destroyer again. He apparently tries to use it as a tank, and I have to again point out once more, tank destroyers are not tanks. I repeat, tank destroyers are not tanks. They are not awfully well for dealing with infantry. The M18 perhaps a bit with its 50 cal, but still you should leave that to Sherman tanks, not M10s. So why he did that is absolutely beyond me, and was an absolute waste, to be frank. Snipers getting some grenadiers, and Volksgrenadiers forced back by the horde of riflemen. Oh goodness gracious, and Puma continue to open up, and we are seeing a rifleman team with Veterancy 3, absolutely explosive combination. In fact, those PARs are going to be doing an awful lot more damage, and are going to be more likely to hit. In fact, the rest of the riflemen will in fact be just as lethal as a regular grenadier. So really quite lethal, and of course those sticky bombs will be even more dangerous, and if he were to catch a Panzerschreck, he's pretty much going to be able to tear apart any tank in seconds. Riflemen and Rangers moving in from the north might catch these grenadiers out in the open. Bazooka shots might be flying up, but apparently not. Puma moving in, but taking a shot to the front from those bazookas. And a Ranger taking out by a Panzerschreck. Taking up positions in the building. Might get a good volley off on this Puma, or not. Grenades flying off on these Grenadiers, forcing them back. Riflemen though are forced back, and these Rangers are taking an awful lot of fire from the Pumas with their auto cannons. The Americans are really having a difficult time in pushing through, and the Howitzer apparently seems to have stopped firing altogether for quite some time. Rangers and Volksgrenadiers preparing in the west, making another large move. Now, how much infantry does he have? He still has those 4 Grenadier teams and those 2 Volksgrenadier teams, so really no heavy losses. And the medic bunker once more coming under fire. And an off-map combat group arriving. Lots of heavy machine guns and a tank destroyer. Should prove to be interesting if handled well. Of course, if not handled well, it's going to go right out the window and into the gutter. Rangers still hanging about on the front with their Veterancy 1. Heavy machine guns setting up. One in the old empty barn, providing overwatch for the other heavy machine gun team. Grenadiers being caught out in the open and forced to retreat as heavy machine gun fire continues to rake them. And registered artillery barrage knocking out a rifleman team, it seems, or at least doing quite a lot of damage. Could have been the end for a Veterancy 2 rifleman team, but he got lucky apparently. Grenadiers running a gauntlet themselves of sniper fire and a sniper with Veterancy 3. Snipers with Veterancy 3 are able to in fact move at regular speed while cloaked, making them rather tough buggers to hunt down. Riflemen securing these alongside those Rangers. The Americans have managed to secure the central victory point, but for how long that will last I'm not sure. They are certainly under an awful lot of pressure, and they are certainly lacking in manpower, which of course is a rather interesting thing considering it was usually the Wehrmacht suffering that. In this case, apparently the Americans, and a Volksgrenadier team taking heavy losses and lost. My goodness. And the medic bunker is lost. Not looking good at all. A medic bunker lost, and a Volksgrenadier team, of course, that might help the American commander a bit against all of those nasty Wehrmacht forces. But for how long is the question. If the Americans continue pushing, things might look good. And a unit was destroyed, and my apologies for not really angling in, but I rather need to get a water bottle since I'm awfully thirsty and I don't want to pause all of this up. And a Panzer IV moving in, the 2nd Panzer Division moving in to support. And of course not with the armored skirt, so it's sort of representing one of the older Panzer IVs, which in fact is what the 2nd Panzer Division had. Not fully equipped with the newest Panzer IVs. It had to do with the slightly older ones, which were not equipped with sides, armored skirts, and some other minor improvements. But nonetheless, it did have that good solid 75mm gun of the high velocity. Still not as high velocity as the Panther, but still quite a threat to Allied armor. So good job there. And another registered artillery barrage flying in here. Oh right, he's gone for this strategic cut-off point. Very nasty. Riflemen with Veterancy 3 moving in from the north, but apparently going straight for this strategic cut-off point. Panzer IV could move in to keep it clear. Of course, with Veterancy 1 it's going to be very nasty. And if it's Veterancy 2 it will get a machine gunner. And the heavy machine gun in that barn will do absolutely nothing. Rangers open up. Only one shot gets through, and it doesn't even do an awful lot of damage. The bazooka was not really made to deal with any sort of the newer German armor. Only able to penetrate 16mm of armor. It could penetrate the side armor of the Panther, but it could not penetrate the frontal armor of any German tank, which rather left it at quite a disadvantage. And Riflemen getting torn apart by the Panzer IV fire. In fact, let's return to Mr. Amphetamines and see if his drug-fueled madness has led to anything else. Apparently setting up for another off-map combat group to save the day. Pumas moving in to support the Panzer IV. Riflemen moving in from the front. Bazooka shots flying off. No sticky bombs, so that's rather interesting. Looks like one Rifleman team might be lost. Oh dear. Hey, machine gun setting up. Might be using armor-piercing rounds. No. And this Puma is taking quite a bit of damage, almost knocked out. While Grenadiers are moving in towards these, getting sniped though by this very, very great sniper. The Panzer IV in a bit of need repairs, but it has managed 6 kills. And taking quite a bit of damage. I do believe it's getting hit by artillery fire. We'll have to retreat. Looks like another off-map combat group is ready to be called in. There we go. Anti-tank guns, heavy machine guns, more heavy machine guns, and not more infantry. I'm pretty sure that's not what he wants, if I might be so bold to claim. Pretty sure he's hoping for infantry and some tank destroyers, or at least some rangers. And yes, indeed, rangers can come in with an off-map combat group. Not often that it happens, but it does happen. But not an awful lot with those off-map combat groups, but he does have an anti-tank gun. Heavy machine gun cleared up by the Panzer IV. Apparently he's called in a 2nd Panzer IV. So good job there from Hauptmann Tommy. And Grenadiers marching up once more. The Sonderkraftfahrzeugs getting repaired, and no half-tracks though. Panzer IVs opening up on the heavy machine gun teams and getting it killed in a less spectacular fashion, but the anti-tank gun continues blasting away, forcing the Panzer IV to move away. It does have a gunner though, although the gunners on the Panzers and Panthers aren't the best. If you want a good one, you want the Stug or the Geschützwagen or the Stu 42. Panzer IV and Panther less than effective. And another registered artillery barrage goes in, clearing up this area. And looks like the 2nd Panzer IV is now getting repaired as well. Could be seeing a armored thrust from the Germans towards the north. And a bit of quiet, a lull in the fight. Another bunker going up. We have 2 repair bunkers, might be a medic bunker, but an awful lot of mechanics up for the Germans. Although the Germans did have very good mechanics, they were rather supposed to be, since they couldn't really rely on replacements or fresh panzers just like the Americans could. And in fact, some German mechanics were in fact given the Iron Cross for their expertise in putting together German tanks ready to be fit again. And there we go, large force of riflemen blobbing up, taking quite a bit of fire from the Panzer force, who blast away with guns and everything. Artillery fire flying in though. Puma lost. First Grenadiers also taking heavy losses, and the second Puma might be lost as well. My goodness. And the wreck of the Puma is blown apart. Bazooka rockets flying. Left Panzer 4 not looking too good, but the Rangers are forced back. The entire central field is a huge plume of smoke after the other. The field has been charged up, and there shall certainly be no harvest there, except one of corpses and perhaps unexploded munitions. But who shall be able to say? Grenadiers getting ready, and first Grenadiers as well, and looks like the natural defenses of the coast of this base has been blown entirely to bits. Riflemen taking quite a bit of fire, and anti-tank gun opening up on the side. No armor-piercing rounds though, it seems, which is a bit of an odd choice, since those can actually easily finish off those Panzer IVs, in particular with the side armor exposed. Bazooka rockets flies, and the Panzer IV goes out of control.
Enemy unit down.
And apologies for all this coughing, it's just an awfully hot day, and I've been traveling a bit already. So again, sorry. Grenadiers getting suppressed by a heavy machine gun, so very nice there. Artillery flying in, apparently to act as covering fire. A bit too close though, and not doing anything. Med 22 for the howitzer though. And we do see a medic bunker in there indeed. That's last Panzer IV putting back 13 kills though to its name. Certainly something to be pleased about for the Panzer commander there.
We're losing a munitions point.
And we'll probably be seeing another off-map combat group there. Not unusual to see commanders relying on the off-map combat groups for new forces. In fact, I have myself, in fact, known to do that as well occasionally when playing as an infantry commander. It can certainly be helpful, and you can certainly get some rather interesting combination. Armored car and tank destroyer moving in. Grenadiers getting cut down as the M8 and M10 move in. Guns and machine guns blazing, and this Panzer IV caught out in the open. Although the tank destroyer then proceeds to engage it from the wrong side. Instead of getting behind it, it gets in front of it. That's not where you want to be against any German armor. Again, German armor was really built to withstand most shots from the front. Panther more so, in fact, which rather led to the slightly unfortunate fact of its rear side up being too thin. Grenades thrown at the Grenadiers, forcing them back. And in the west, the anti-tank gun is being forced away by courageous pioneers, but they are instantly coming under fire from the heavy machine gun of the Americans, doing quite a bit of damage and forcing them back. And we are seeing a fresh Panzer IV arriving on the field. The 2nd Panzer Division really providing quite a bit of armor for the German forces here. And the riflemen are coming under fire from the 2nd Panzers. Panzer Force really doing a nice job. Tank destroyers and M8 moving in from the front. Not entirely sure why he's pulling them back. 2 Panzer Force could easily deal with this force. There we go, advancing once more. Opening up on the M10. And the M10 pulls out. Anti-tank gun though is nearby, which could perhaps be give a reason to why the Panzer Force is a bit hesitant to move forward. Slight covering area, and now getting the 2nd supply at upgrade. Perhaps that's a bit too late. Could have been more useful earlier. But then again, it's a bit of a balance. When do you want to use those many resources? Since those supply yard upgrades can be a bit expensive. Puma though moving in for flank, and Pounding managed to avoid quite a bit of anti-tank on fire. Grenadiers getting suppressed by the heavy machine gun. The heavy machine gun doing quite nicely. But Grenadiers are moving in from the west. Might get the drop on that heavy machine gun now. Grenades flying, and the heavy machine gun relocates. And riflemen moving in from the north. Veterans, the 3 riflemen still holding out, and the Grenadiers are quickly forced to retreat. M10 and M8 hanging about, but they really could do with some repairs, but I don't think there are any engineers left for the American commander. A bit unfortunate. And the Grenadiers and Foot Grenadiers are completely unstoppable, pushing onwards, although those Panzer forces are nowhere to be seen near the front. And Foot Grenadiers coming under quite a bit of fire. Grenades flying at the riflemen, but they are too far. Again, a small tip in dealing with troops advancing: wait until they move or throw in their path. Do not target the team directly. You will most likely find that your troops will overthrow them and you will do absolutely nothing. And let's go return to Tommygaga. Just a quick tip there. But really looking bad for the Americans, who were doing so well in the beginning, but they were simply not able to properly capitalize on their advantage. And I feel that might have bit them in the arse. M10 taking quite a bit of fire from the Panzer Force and Panzer Shreks. Panzer Force doing quite nicely, although a sticky bomb goes off. Doing quite a bit of damage due to the Veterancy 3 rifleman throwing it. Second Panzer Force also taking quite a bit of damage, but does make it back to the repair stations. Good job there. Grenadiers holding the line, holding back the Rangers, killing some with the Panzer Shreks. Panzer Force retreating further might be a good idea before artillery fire flies in. M10 destroyed. Oh dear, oh dear. Sniper continuing to act on the behalf of the Grim Reaper, sniping German troops. This piece of barbed wire still hanging about. Hand machine gun firing away these Grenadiers, once more suppressing them, and again nice positioning there, not too close. Although this anti-tank gun is not looking too good, and getting a hand machine gun as the Americans is not really a bad idea either. Can be of help if you're facing an opponent with a lot of infantry. And Panzer Force getting repaired. The first one has been quickly repaired. And looks like only a thin line of support units is all that holds back the German forces. The infantry being bannered down to only 2 teams. No medic stations have at all been there to help with the rate of attrition, which is really backfiring, I feel. Kampfkraft Center upgrading veterancy for support units now. Rather interesting. Not entirely sure that's going to be a much help by now. And we are seeing a third Panzer IV. Riflemen moving in towards the west, getting under fire from the Puma. Panzer Force could certainly do with moving in to deal with that. And apparently some small quiet there. Grenadiers and Puma holding away these Rangers with Veterancy 2. Certainly going to be more dangerous with their bazookas, but that is about it at the moment. We are seeing a small advance here, but the Panzer Force are moving in force. 3 Panzerkampfwagen 4. And the Rangers getting absolutely torn apart in a hailstorm of machine gun and high explosive fire. Holding up behind the armored car. They are receiving a bit of heavy cover, but that shall not last them long as the M8 is blown to bits. And they are taking heavy losses themselves. The heavy machine gun now also suffering heavily. Anti-tank guns opening up in support. But these riflemen will not be able to provide much protection for much longer, which will allow German infantry to move in. And this Veterancy 3 rifleman team is almost dead. Oh dear, and now the Fox Grenadiers are moving in, going to clear out that anti-tank gun. Sniper advancing as well. And Amphetamines really showing how low he has fallen with his drug abuse. Hehe, laughing and about time. And looks like the Panzer Force are ready to push forward once more. Anti-tank guns absolutely cleared out, and GG. Yeah. And this map's always fun. Yes, indeed, Langres can be a fun map. And some very nice words there. You have been one of the best opponents ever. Always nice to be courteous and polite. And, of course, saluting your opponent for being a good one. Certainly always makes it feels a lot nicer. So that's very good sportsmanship there on the behalf of Tommygaga. And another Panzer IV on the way. Really liking those Panzer IVs. And if my op maps weren't told crap earlier, maybe I've been different. Probably not, again, since he did not capitalize an advantage. He did not go for a tank depot rather early, which he could have done. In fact, gotten some Shermans out and really done a lot of damage. But really, I think that's the trouble there. Not his off-map, but rather his lack of on-map presence and a lack of medic station as well. He wasn't really prepared for the long haul. which again it can be a bit of a problem some American commanders have. And a rocket barrage absolutely devastating everything here, pinning down the remaining American troops, knocking out quite a bit, and the supply yard is almost gone. Panzer Force now advancing through everything. Tank depot being an open target. And looks like the Rangers will be trying to hold them back, but I doubt they will have much success. Panzer Force taking quite a bit of fire, but the Rangers are taking even more and are getting absolutely torn apart. Riflemen now the only thing left for the Americans. Veterans 3, if they can pick up their bazooka, they might be able to do a bit of damage. But I really don't think they'll be able to do much against those Panzer Force. Why no mines? Rather interesting. Why didn't the Wehrmacht commander not get any mines? No time, apparently. But the American commander was pretty good in using mines. What he wasn't so good in was getting a medic station up, which would also help alongside those mines. Perhaps some sandbags and barbed wire as well, or perhaps a heavy machine gun. And there we go. And yes, you push so much. Really good aggression from the commander, but let's wait till the game is over. In fact, let's speed things up. I really don't think anything's going to happen. And there we go. Game over. So, what can we learn from this? I mean, we saw some really good aggression from the American commander. That's always good. Lots of riflemen, lots of BARs hitting from all sides, and also getting down a lot of mines, making it harder for the Germans to retake the area. In fact, they had quite an advantage, quite a lot of resources, but at that moment it fell apart. Instead of really pushing for getting some armor to really put in the final nail in the coffin, he lost all sort of initiative, and then he went for snipers, he went for other small bits, but he wasn't really able to push through. He didn't get a medic station to really prepare for the long haul in terms of attrition. He didn't get a lot. He then went for an M10 and tried to use it as a tank, which, as you might have noticed, failed absolutely miserably. And of course, Tommygaga was more than happy to capitalize on the other hand, getting Pumas, getting Stuks, getting lots of infantry, medic station himself, medic bunkers to really help with the attrition. A lot of good things there, lots of Panzer. He was absolutely prepared compared to the American commander whose late efforts fell apart due to coherent strategy in the end, and of course some idea of how to handle things in the longer term. And why didn't he get a Sherman? I have no idea. Why no medic station? Again, I have no idea. That could really have helped. The howitzer was not a bad idea, but really I think some armor would have been of more help. Anyhow, there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own? And tomorrow I'll get to work on some 2 vs 2, but for now I need something a bit easier. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed and cheers.